Welcome to the Captain's Log, Stardate 6/19/2024. My name is Dan Jven, and on the screen here we have Prime Minister, not Cochrane, Nayrok. Prime Minister Nayrok, definitely not Zephram Cochrane. We are going to take a look at his stats, collections, and so forth in just a little bit, but later on in this episode, I spent the past couple of days talking about citations and all the fallout from the honor sale, and I've made a few mentions about the upcoming brand new, recently teased Voyage events. And with a brief preview that we got, a snippet from Tilting Point Games, from WRG, from HG, that we received on a now taken down stream, but you can see a little bit of a clip a few days ago in one of my videos where we talk about the new Voyage events and specifically about what the strange cadence of dilemmas will be and what type of active, engaging gameplay they've promised for us. I have some ideas. I have some thoughts about some early winners that might earn your sites, that have certainly earned my citations, and that might actually help us to get started now so that we're ready for the anticipated Voyage events. A little bit of a note also on exactly when we can expect that first Voyage event to drop, so stay tuned for that. But now, I know you're all excited. We can't get to that yet because we have to talk about this mandatory discussion on the purple card that's coming up in this weekend's event. We have a Galaxy Hybrid event coming up. Anybody who participates and builds at least one Galaxy mission or runs one faction shuttle is going to earn their community rewards, presumably, if we reach them. If the game's still alive by this weekend, we're all going to get at least one copy of Prime Minister Nayrok, and those of us who reach 130,000 victory points, it's possible to do, or at least very close, just with basic shuttles alone. You can receive an additional 3 copies from your threshold rewards. So I would ask if this crew's worth it, but it's basically free. It's a free freeze, it's free collections, so really don't miss it. This is why I think everybody that's out of the first few weeks of the game really should be participating in all Galaxy events, and certainly the Galaxy Hybrids, which are the easiest to break into and hit those early thresholds on. So what about this guy makes him so special? This is kind of the anti-hero from a Next Generation episode. I think it was the one with Roga Danar, if I'm right. So he's mostly forgettable apart from the fact that he's shown up multiple times in the Star Trek universe. And James Cromwell, I guess, is the actor's name, so you can look him up and see his IMDb. Anyways, here we've got diplomat, communicator, tactician, crafty, desperate politician, and his own racial trait here. So these come together to be a relatively common skill set. I'm not sure about this particular mix here. I think politician gives us a few opportunities in the future for this guy to actually show up on fleet boss battle nodes. A command dip psi crew. I have to say, I'll be the first to say, I'm really glad that they're making command dip psi crew as purples now and leaving the legendaries to have nice little med and edge kickers and really branching out there. This is great. The bread and butter crew that everybody receives free copies of, make them command dip sec, command dip psi, make them the boring skill sets. This is where this belongs. They're really helpful to get started on shuttles. The very common skills are needed to pilot those shuttles, especially when you're in the early game. Getting a 4-star crew is really going to make it feel so much more powerful once you get that level to 100 in your first month of the game. So yeah, this dude serves a purpose, especially for early players. What about us late game players here? Let's take a look at the collections. Only 2 on the Prime Minister, a diplomat and a communicator. It's it's fine. It's free. It's 2 free collection ticks. What's not to like? You bring this guy to max and you use him. Any extra benefit here? On the ship battle, a single use per battle. Now it's a 20-second duration on a +6 attack bonus, not the highest that we see on a purple, but again, it's usable. This crew is going to be your early arena option for an attack buffer, which is strangely, it can be hard to find, especially when you're first trying to break into the commander division of arena. To get somebody that's really going to boost your attack and also give you the option on other crew then to do your accuracy, your evasion, maybe a hammer. Maybe you have a ship that only features 3 seats, and that's your only ship that you can fly. So he can certainly serve a purpose here and get you through those early arena battles. He will be frozen eventually for all players, but for now, I see a completely serviceable crew, and it shows that I think that the developers are actively paying attention to what's important to people at different stages of the game. So really glad to see that for Prime Minister Nayrok. So I think it's time. All right, let's talk about it. So, what's been teased for us on the Voyage, and I'll call it a Voyage Gauntlet Hybrid event. So, we've been asking for a new event, and we've been told that we would be receiving one for probably 2 years now. And so we're finally in the late stages of development. The developers were prepared to actually show us an example. It didn't happen due to some technical reasons, but we can anticipate very shortly a video to be posted, and I don't believe it'll be a live stream based on what happened last time, but a video to be posted demonstrating the Voyage events on the Tilting Point channel. So if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and give them a subscribe. I think they're still working towards getting 5,000 subscribers, and when we do, then all players benefit. We all get a little bit of a dilithium bonus. But in the meantime, just at least so you can keep an eye out and be the first to get direct information right from the source over at Tilting Point. So I happen to have some information, some intel, that is from non-official channels, so take from a grain of salt, but that we may be seeing our first Voyage event in the next 6 weeks, actually at the 6-week mark. So that would be, so we have 2 more weeks in this mega, and then there's usually a 4-week period in between megas, and so that very last one may be our very first Voyage event. Now, what Tilting Point has also said is that they may be running a beta, kind of a beta test version as a midweek objective event or something like that. Can't tell you anything about that, but we have a short time to get prepared here, and there is going to be some preparation needed to actually get us ready and at full strength so that we can actually participate, get our threshold rewards. How do we do that? We don't really know anything about the event. Well, we can surmise. We know that the developers have been creating content recently that relies heavily on the core programming, that they're unwilling to make any great sweeping changes. Fleet Boss Battle, I think, was their last hurrah with something that's a new mechanic, and even in that respect, it's still a ship battle. The new mechanic really came with the node solving. And since then, we've gotten the Contiunuum Missions, which have been a rehash of away teams, the equipment, which have just been, an extension of equipping your crew with a little bit of gloss thrown on top of it. So I have every reason to believe that these Voyage events with little pit stops in a gauntlet type battle will rely on crew that are both strong in Voyage power in their core skill base, but also strong in proficiency. So we're looking to kind of thread the needle here. What we have been told, what we're sure about, is that this will include a different section of crew, a different subset of crew that may have been usable, but will certainly get a second life. In this type of event. So let's take a look. Let's see if we can mine our favorite resource here. And I'm going to jump on over to the big book here. There's Prime Minister's page. You want to see nice full artwork of Prime Minister Nayrok. Okay, I think that's enough. That'll do, pig. All right, let's jump over here. So I want to show you a great way to start your research would be in the Overall tab. The Overall tab lets you see side-by-side Voyage and Gauntlet rankings. Now you can go directly to the Gauntlet page, but you're not going to see your Voyage rankings, and likewise here, you're not going to see the proficiencies, or at least it'll be distilled. It'll be a combination of the average proficiency plus your base skill for all of these crews. So if we look at this, all these top crew, I happen to know, just really don't have particularly high proficiencies, just because the outsized skill, the skill itself for each of the primary skills is going to be the outsized contributor to Voyage power. The proficiencies just don't give as much. So here we're going to go to the Overall tab. And another thing I'll start you off with here. Let's get off of Kevin Uxbridge and sort by tier. I want to show you at the very bottom. This is a great feature that has been programmed into the big book, where you can personalize your score weights, and let's do that now. So here, I want to make sure I'm only on Legendary. We're really only going to be considering Legendary crew for this. If you'd like to take a look at your super rares, you can certainly filter by that and see which ones are flyable. Let's try this. Let's do a little experiment here. I'm going to bring everything down to 0. We have one goal here, and that's to hit the ground running with our Voyage events. So let's go 50-50 here, equal weight. We could tweak this. Maybe we need to go a little higher, just because, like I said, the Voyage rating itself is a little bit overwhelmingly favoring the base skill. But right now we're going to start with 50-50 and see where that gets us. We're going to apply our weights here and see how that changes the tiers. It changes everything dynamically. And I already knew this, and you may have known that after watching yesterday's Captain's Log, but Admiral Black leads the pack. Matter of fact, after citing him up in my video yesterday, very first Voyage I launched, he was on, so I'm very happy on my investment to finish off Admiral Black. Also very happy for my good fortune to have picked him up as a Voyage exclusive drop. I've had him for quite some time now, and apart from Gauntlet use, it's the first time he's really getting used in other areas of the game, and man, is he going to pick up some speed once those Voyage events drop. So So we can see here, we're taking a look, we've got a Voyage rank of 148 with a Gauntlet rank of number two overall, behind only Almediclon, who's the newest Gauntlet exclusive. And so he is just, he's a fantastic start, but what happens if you don't have him? Let's scroll on down. So we do see Mira Tuvok, who's really only a Voyager. You'd have to take it with a grain of salt and just maybe open up each of these players' tabs to see that we have a slightly high diplomacy, but it's just not going to really compete. Another thing that we do know, or at least we can surmise based on some in-game data, is that the Voyage exclusive Gauntlet opposition that you'll come across, it looks like it may be AI. We are starting to see some hints that in the game we might have some generic villains that you come across, so it's unlikely that these Voyage events are going to be PvP directly, only in terms of how much VP you can earn over the course of the event. So you're not going to come across your friend and your fleet mate's most powerful equipped out crew when you're trying to just complete your Voyage thresholds. It's going to be AI. So that will mean that it's something that is going to be a known quantity as we start to get actual data out of the game and get into these events. But in the meantime, this certainly wouldn't be strong enough. 600 max proficiency isn't going to be strong enough to take out a human opponent. We don't know yet if it's enough to take out an enemy AI opponent. We'd have to see, but there's a good chance that as the voyages go longer, they're going to get stronger, and this certainly is going to be suboptimal compared to somebody that actually has true Gauntlet proficiencies. So this is a good place to start. I want to take a little bit of a different tack here. I'm going to only sort by Voyage, and I want to see, actually, let's do this. There's a lot of Voyagers, but there's not so many good Gauntleters. We're going to sort by Gauntlet. And let's take a look down the list here and see if we can pull out a few good high Voyage score Gauntleteers, and maybe that's a good way to find some good characters to play with. And right off the bat, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. Now, all the ones on my screen right now that you're looking at are non-portal. So these are going to be gated behind gameplay by RNG. All these crew are going to be ones that you can either earn or have to just get lucky and randomly drop. So certainly, Admiral Black's going to be fantastic. Red Angel looks like a good candidate. Only Voyager number 275, but with a high Cite and Eng, which certainly are more scarce in terms of proficiency boosts. And of course, undisputable, the number 4 Gauntleteer after years and years. I think 3 years she's been on the roster and still holding her place. Locutus a little bit weaker here, perhaps, for that Sec Primary, but Frantic McCoy, the Fleet Boss Battle Drop. If you don't already have your citations spent on at least 2 stars to add to Frantic McCoy's 3 that drop from playing the Fleet Boss battles and leveling up your bridge, go ahead and do so, because you're going to want to see Frantic McCoy at maximum stars, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Everything comes together when we're talking about these Voyage and Gauntlet events, and there's going to be a real good reason to have all these crew maxed out, beyond just getting the skill to max. So Frantic McCoy, yeah, Voyager number 207, rank number 6, certainly good. Again, I'm just seeing all exclusives here. Let's do something here. I'm going to use another little big book feature here, the best retrievable crew. That adds automatically this nice little search here. But where are these blues come from? I don't want to see the blues. Let's filter to legendary, and here we go. All right, so now we're starting to see everybody that is in the portal, meaning you can retrieve these crew today. If you have enough quantum, you can go ahead and retrieve them. Maybe you're lucky, you already have a couple sitting around out of your pack that you haven't leveled. Get on it, because we've got a few here that are going to be some reasonably good Voyagers. And right here, one of my favorite early crew to retrieve that I recommend is Gary 7. Now, he's kind of fallen off. His Voyage ranking has slipped considerably, but his Gauntlet power is still there. And at a Voyage rank of 155 with such a high Gauntlet rating, I think that really puts him squarely in the top tier for the Voyage events. So unfreeze your Gary 7s. If you put him away, if he's not flying Voyages for you anymore, you're going to need him pretty soon. If you aren't already using him for Contiunuum Mission events, he was also a great early choice for running the Psi nodes in Contiunuum Missions. Let's go on further down. These are just too far out of range. Unless these crew had special equipment maybe that brought up their proficiencies, I just don't see them contributing very much. So this first page, here's Boothby Replica. Not the strongest Voyage score, but that's going to be a theme. We're not going to see a whole lot of really strong Voyages here. We're going to see serviceable Voyagers that are a year or 2 old, that are a few tiers behind where you would normally want your Voyagers to be. But for this new event type, we're going to need people that are we're going to need crew that are usable both in Gauntlet and Voyage, and that really limits what we're looking for. It means we're going to be reaching pretty far down the Gauntlet ratings and pretty far down the Voyage ratings. Boothly Replicate's still showing as a tier 3 crew though, especially for this personalized score. So pretty neat to look at. And with a side primary here, we have another option. So Gary 7 and Boothly Replicant, he's got the med tertiary. This is where we're going to want to start to break it down and really make a plan and try to figure out who's going to hit each one of our main skills. It's not known yet what the optimal strategy will be. Whether you're going to want to launch your Voyage with 6 really strong powerhouse Voyagers, stick your Chances Taken Kirk and Ubiquitous Borg Queen and Mirror Tuvok on there, and have them really drive you out to the 2, the 4, the 6 hour range, and then have your remaining 6 characters be 1 for each primary skill so that you can actually battle these AI opponents as they come up. It could be to just load it up with all great Voyager and great Gauntleteers, all 12 of your slots, so that no matter what skill pair comes up, you can hit them and really make a really deep Gauntlet roster that still hits a reasonable Voyage of 4 to 6 hours, maybe more. We'll see. We just don't know yet, but we can prepare, and we should prepare. Let me sort this by tier here. Yeah, again, oh, well, here's a great one. So Vidala Elder is coming up. When I did that tier sort and I see a tier 2 here, Vidala Elder is still number 15 overall Voyager and number 71 in Gauntlet. Now, that's pretty low compared to some of the crew we were looking at. But with a med secondary here, that puts Vidala Elder really in good contention here for being somebody that you're going to want to either retrieve if you haven't already owned him, and then get up to max stars. Not so fast. This is Dan from the editing room in the future. I had a lot to say about this new feature, apparently. So what we're going to do is break this video into 2 parts. We're going to stop here. Tomorrow, join me again. We're going to look at each of the crew that we just looked at in the tiering. We're going to look at them crew by crew, take a look at their proficiencies, maybe some equipment we can throw on them to help us out. All that tomorrow. Tune back in. Thanks so much. Live long and prosper.